All right, good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're watching this particular episode. It is the second episode actually of the Word Network, and we're looking at the Testament of Moses. In the first episode, we were looking at their history, their genesis, their history, their background, how did they get to Egypt, and we're also building a base, of this particular of the story of Moses. We are trying to look, at his birth, and we saw that actually, when he was born, the mother tried to hide him for around 3 months, and then after 3 months, she could no longer hide him, and she had to do something because the baby was growing, the child was growing, so she had to actually do something. And then she decided to cast this particular baby, you know, in the river. But she still has a hope. She still has that faith. She still has hope that that actually somebody is going to notice, and this baby is going to be saved, because actually Moses was not supposed to die. All the male Hebrew, male children were being killed according to the decree of of the then Pharaoh. And why are they being killed? Because the Pharaoh believed that somehow there will come a time when this particular people will be very many in number, and when a war will begin, that these people will fight against them. So that is their worry, that is their fear, that is the Pharaoh's fear. So he decides and declares this particular decree that all the male Hebrew children should be what? Should be killed, to suppress that particular number. But somehow God has a plan with Moses, and Moses is not dying anytime soon. Working with Shifra and Pua, God God saves Moses big time, a big deal, working with Shifra and Pua. And we saw that Shifra and Pua are one of the women apart from Eve that are mentioned, that those who are mentioned, when we talk of civil disobedience, Shifra and Pua are also mentioned. Now, in this second chapter, we are introduced to the birth of Moses, and this is the second chapter of the book of Exodus. My name is George Alfred. If you're wondering who is speaking, my name is George Alfred, and we're looking at the Testament of Moses, trying to look at some of the characters of God through the eyes of Moses, through the journey of Moses, and the Israelites from Egypt, into many years later, the promised land of Canaan. And I want us to begin from chapter 2, the verse, let us start from verse 5. Let us just begin from verse 5 of the second chapter, and it's saying that, and the daughter of Pharaoh came down to wash herself at the river, and her maidens walked along by the riverside. And when she saw the ark among the flags, she sent her maid to fetch it. And when she had opened it, she saw the child, and behold, the baby wept. And she had compassion on him, and said, This is one of the Hebrews' children. Then said his sister to Pharaoh's daughter, Shall I go and call to thee a nurse of the Hebrew women, that she may nurse the child for thee? Understand that Miriam was just hanging around. Alikuwa anabangaiza tu. She was just hanging around just to witness what would actually happen to Moses, to witness what would actually happen to her brother. And then just by God's grace, by God's hand, he saved into the kingdom, actually the Egyptian kingdom, into Pharaoh's family, into the royal family, into the royal household. That is where Moses is saved. The kind of upbringing that actually Moses is going to undergo is different from the kind of upbringing the normal children, from the ghetto side of Egypt, that is largely covered by the Israelites. It's going to be very different. The food, the lifestyle, just everything is going to be royal. Let us see. And Pharaoh's daughter said unto her, this is now Miriam, go, said to her, go. And the maid went and called the child's mother. Akaenda kaita mamake Moses, na mamake Miriam. She went and actually called Moses' mother to nurse her own child. Utakatashaka kweli akikunywa maziwa ya ng'ombe. Her own mother, biological mother. Now, let us see. And Pharaoh's daughter said to her, now this is Pharaoh's mother, take this child away and nurse it for me, and I will give thee thy wages. And the woman took the child and nursed it. Si akachukua mtoto wake. Si amechukua mtoto wake. But now, she is going to do a very difficult work, a challenging one, and also a risky one. What if angepatikana hata maybe breastfeed? What will come out of it? What will be her fate? So she was also risky. But then the positive side is that this particular mother is actually going to do her role as a mother. Not there just to nurse this particular baby just because sasa analipwa. She's going to do her role as a mother. Okay? Anaenda kufanya part yake ile kwa mama with Moses. First of all, she's going to teach Moses in the ways of the Lord. And at some point, atamweleza that actually, you know what? You don't belong huku penye huko kwa nini. Wewe ni huko kwa ghetto. Wewe ni huko kwa ghetto. That you don't belong this particular side. You belong the other side. And the other side actually ndio penye Mungu yuko. So this particular mother is also going to tell Moses of a God called Yahweh, of a God of his people, where he actually belongs, and actually not this particular side. And also nurturing him in the ways of the Lord. But it is very, very risky. What if angepatikana? What if angepatikana? It was very risky, by the way. But somehow she decides to do what? To take the job. And she's paid actually for it. And the child grew. And she brought him unto Pharaoh's daughter, and he became her son. Baada ya mtoto kukua, sasa akamrudisha kwa mamake, in quotes. That is Pharaoh's daughter. And he became a son. He actually became a prince. And actually a prince in Egypt si mtu tu hivi wa kawaida. The kind of education that this particular person will undergo, science, nini, vitu kama hizo, mafunzo, kivita. So it was an all-round system of education, in Egypt that Moses is actually undergoing. But again, I'm still surprised why the dad, the Pharaoh, could not, decline and actually said, no, mimi siwezi ipokea huyu mtoto kwa familia yangu because he is not my blood. It is God. Si kwa sababu alikuwa najua mtoto wake hakuwa na ujauzito. So somehow he knew. Ninyi watu mnachezanga na Mungu aje. Aya. And the child grew, and she brought him unto Pharaoh's daughter, and he became her son. And she called him Moses. And she said, because I drew him out of the water. That is the meaning of that particular name, Moses. And alitolewa kwa maji, by the hand of God. And it came to pass in those days when Moses was grown. Sasa hapa Moses ashakuwa mkubwa. Okay? That Moses had grown, that he went out unto his brethren. Because leo mamake alikuwa anamfunza na alikuwa anamwambia that actually you don't belong here. Wewe si wa huku. Wewe ni wa huko kwingine. That is where you actually belong. These are not your people. Your people are the Hebrews. Wale wenye unaona huko wakiteseka, wakikanyaga matofali, wakijenga sijui nini, those are actually your people. Huku umekuja tu kupitia tu. So Moses is going back to his brethren. Ameenda kutembea kule. This is verse 11. That he went out unto his brethren and took and looked on their burdens, and he spied an Egyptian smiting a Hebrew, one of his brethren. Na akaona kabisa ndugu yangu jamani anapigwa pale vile, anachapa viboko, because right now anajua, he already knows, anajua. And he looked that way and that way, anachungulia huku na kule. This is verse 12. And when he saw that there was no one, he slew the Egyptian and hid him in the sand. The very first sin is committing murder. Si akaua. But he is not just killing because of, kupenda kwake. It is the rage he has, seeing one of his people, one of his brethren, actually suffering. Not even one, very many. Because the kind of labor they are subjected to is inhumane. Unaona? And it is forced, and it is hard, and you're actually toiling, and it is forced labor with no payment. Simtazana mkue wengi mwapige kwa vita na mwashinde, watu wenu wakufe. So Moses is not killing this particular Egyptian deliberately, ama juu sasa anataka, ama willingly. It is the rage he has. He is feeling for this particular people because he belongs. There's that feeling of belonging. And when he's actually seeing the kind of labor, the kind of toil, the kind of hard work these particular people are undergoing, he's feeling for them. Because yes, amekuwa akienjoy maisha pale kwa palace. So anajazwa na ile uchungu, na pia anajazwa na ile huruma. And when that particular rage gets in him and takes over him, kufa na ziko kabisa kwenye mchanga, hoping that hakuna mwenye ameona. Okay, now let us see. And when he went out the second day, behold, 2 men of the Hebrews strove together. And he said to him that did the wrong, wherefore smitest thy fellow? Walikuwa wanapigana. So nakamuuliza, jamani, mbona unapiga mwenzako? Huyu mwenye alikuwa na makosa. Mbona mnapigana? Mbona unapiga mwenzako? Because there's actually no need for you guys to, to fight, to have grudge against each other. You are brother and a brother. You are from the same place. We share the same ancestors. Kwa nini mnapigana? Verse 14, and he said, who made thee a prince and judge over us? Intendest thou to kill me as thou killed the Egyptian? Kumbe alionekana